Yes, hi, thanks for having me here in Geneva, and excuse me that I speak in English. Je parle un peu de français, mais pas très bien non plus, and so I prefer to do large presentations in English. I'm from Basel, actually. I'm based in Basel, Switzerland, and I'm going to talk today about our website, adobe.com, and that might sound not too interesting talking about a website, but I think we can nicely explain what you can actually do in terms of business transformation for a large company such as Adobe through their online presence. And actually, many things that I'm going to talk about here are technologies which are developed and first introduced in Switzerland. So as Arno said, it's coming from our company based in Basel, and it's still the case actually under Adobe. We have been growing our presence in Switzerland, and most of the research for these web delivery technologies are still produced and engineered in Switzerland. So while I'm responsible for all web properties for Adobe, I'm going to talk only about Adobe.com today. So basically what you see here, that's the latest flavor of one of the Adobe.com experiences. And why I'm saying one of the Adobe.com experiences, that's exactly the point of the presentation. Adobe.com is not just Adobe.com for everyone the same. It's basically, we try to follow the customer, we try to follow who's coming to a website and to adjust our presence and make it more relevant for our visitors. So a few facts to start with. As Arno said, we generate around $2 billion of revenue on Adobe.com itself. We're serving 62 markets, which means Adobe.com is translated in 62 languages or locales, flavors of languages. Global load speed, we try to keep constantly below 3 seconds. Not always possible, but in general, that's what we achieve. In terms of website ranking, in terms of visitors on Adobe.com, we rank around on the rank 70 of the most visited websites globally. We have bi-weekly release cycles, so basically every 2 weeks we release new code and new features and new capabilities onto our website. Adobe.com consists out of more than 1 million pages, so it's a pretty large presence and pretty complex to maintain all of that content and all of these pages, and we get around 500 million visitors on the site every month. Obviously, a lot of that traffic is generated by things you know, by probably for most of you an annoyance, which is like flash player updating, etc. That's obviously not our core business, but obviously that's driving traffic to our site as well, or then PDF reader downloads. But what I'm going to talk about is basically what do you do with that traffic? Considering the fact that you get so many people every month on your website, how do you actually get revenue out of these visits? So we're going to look a little bit behind the scenes of Adobe.com. So we went through 3 stages of optimizing our web presence. First was basically looking at the architecture, web experience, reporting and analytics, basically finding out what are the visitors of the website actually doing and what do they want and how do we react to that? How are we more flexible and nimble in order to adjust what the experience is? Second step, optimization, meaning basically foremost personalization, so having a personalized experience for the visitor. And then thirdly, segmentation, segmenting our customer base and adjusting the experience based on ongoing testing, basically testing different designs and making sure we always have the most successful designs launched on our site. So basically the journey that I'm going to talk about starts in 2009. In 2009 we used to have a very static and clumsy website, already with a lot of traffic. Actually it ranked higher than today. It was amongst the top 50 websites in terms of traffic still, mostly due to a lot of download traffic, but we only generated around $275 million US revenue. That's a very poor conversion rate for such a high traffic website. With several steps in terms of operational efficiency, personalization, optimization. We, as I said before, we basically elevated the revenue to $2 billion in 2016. Our goal for 2017 is actually $3 billion, so I have a growth target of another 50% for this year, which is a bit challenging. So first of all, we introduced in 2009 the building piece, the building block, in order actually to do something with the website, which is web experience management and reporting and analytics. And what you have to think of that, and actually here you see the old website, that's from 2009. Before this was static. Marketing didn't have any chance to do quick changes on the website. Actually IT was running the website. It was a very slow process. If marketing wanted to launch something, they had to go through marketing, it had to be coded, etc. It was actually done in Dreamweaver back then, so very statically. So with the introduction of a CMS, the Experience Manager, the whole page became componentized and templatized, meaning marketing got the tools at hand to change dynamically how the website looks like. They could change the content. IT wasn't involved. They could basically release new content, new products on the fly, basically in a question of hours. IT was completely out of the game as of that point. Basically, they're just providing the platform and the building blocks for marketing to enable that. Second step, once this was built and once the analytics behind was implemented, obviously marketing needed to have the tools to know what the customer actually, what they're doing on the website. If they're dropping off of a site and not putting anything in the shopping cart, our analytics tools told them that, and they could take the necessary actions on the website to change the appearance. So second, after we did that, and which brought us to already a revenue gain to 400 million, we were looking into personalization. Now, personalization is probably the most complex aspect of the whole transition, and the first baby step we did, this is a very simple personalization use case. So you have to imagine Adobe has two business units. One is the digital media business unit, the other one is the digital marketing unit. Digital media, that's the famous products you might know, Photoshop, Illustrator, all of that is in that business unit. And obviously most traffic also comes to the website because of these tools. On the other hand, we have the digital marketing business unit, which is in terms of importance for Adobe actually the same, roughly the same size as the digital media unit. And the idea behind that was based on, for example, IP detection. We could see who's the visitor. We didn't know who that person is. It's not logged in or anything. But based on IP address, we could tell somebody's visiting us from a large company. Let's say he's visiting us from Novartis, etc. So probably this person is interested more in a digital marketing experience and not so much in a digital media experience. Now, when somebody from a creative agency comes to our website, then probably we're going to show this person more of the digital media appearance and going to show them the digital media tools. So but you can do these determinations pretty simply since all IP addresses globally are known, who they belong to, which company they belong to, etc., etc. So this already improved our conversion quite dramatically. Second, what we did, we tried to determine who is actually browsing to our website. So this is also a very simple example. Somebody goes onto the Dreamweaver site, and this person has been clicking through student and teacher or university offers before. So we assume, based on the navigation path that this person went through the site, that this person is actually a student or a teacher, which means we're going to change the appearance. We're going to change the pricing. Actually, it doesn't make sense to show a full price if we think this person is a student. So what we do automatically is change the digital assets behind it. So we're going to show the student and teacher edition on the site, even though this person hasn't even said they want to buy something or they haven't checked the box, I'm a student. But we just assume things, and then we make the experience more relevant, and therefore also the pricing, etc., is more attractive for this visitor. Then as a next step, we took it a step further. We want to make the user at home when he comes to our website. So we want to know what this user is doing also when he or she is not on our website. So basically we're looking on what this person, based on cookies for example, has been doing previously on our Adobe properties. There might be different websites, not only Adobe.com. Then we know what this person has been exposed to in terms of ads. So when you were in Google, we know which ads you have been getting. So we know your exposure to those ads, etc. And we use all this information to make a picture of this person coming to our website, and then adjusting the experience. So another thing is from an email campaign, what has this person been clicking and which emails have been successful for them and which have been going through. And then social channels, obviously we can analyze what's going on in social channels with this visitor. So a quick case study. Before we did this personalization steps, Jane came to Adobe.com and she basically got a one-size-fits-all website, not very relevant for her, maybe relevant, but that's more as a coincidence than. Now in the current case, Jane returns to Adobe.com. She's still anonymous. She's not logged in. She doesn't have an Adobe ID, but we know a lot about her. We know based on her previous interest that she's interested in photography. So basically, she's going to receive a photography web page, lobby page, basically a homepage on Adobe.com, promoting our photography products like Lightroom or Photoshop, and obviously less the digital marketing tools, because that would simply probably drive her away from the website. Again, we're doing these through this information that I highlighted before, site, display, social, email, and search, basically search that she has done, searches that she has done, performed before. Then as a second step, let's say we gain Jane as a customer, and we have basically changed our product line from before boxed products, like you could buy Photoshop in a store. That's not possible anymore. Now you have to subscribe, which basically means you have an Adobe ID, which gives us also more information about our customers, which is also in benefit of our customers since they always receive the latest versions, the latest updates, etc. But obviously this gives us much more information about this individual, since she logs herself in with her Adobe ID. We know she's probably a novice photographer, CS5 user, and what we then can do, we can actually push learn and help content into her product. So our product, when she opens Lightroom, she receives dynamic content. So we know she's rather new to Lightroom, for example, so she will receive tutorials, how to get started, etc., etc. So even the content that is provided or displayed in the product afterwards, not only on Adobe.com, is actually customized to what we think is this person's most interest and their level of expertise. And we try to take this deeper and deeper, obviously. I mean, we started, as I said, with first just digital media, digital marketing. Then we took it into several lobbies. Lobbies are our home pages. We call them lobbies. Acrobat, so for example, for our PDF Acrobat users, they will receive an Acrobat lobby. Marketing Cloud lobby, CC lobby. And then we even break down the CC lobby into EDU, so for universities and students, they will even get a different experience than somebody else that visits Adobe.com. And if we know somebody's a photographer, then this person would even get a different experience. So we try to increase the granularity and really segment our user base based on the information we are getting. This might be a bit technical just for those who are interested. That's basically how the technology behind it is working. So for example, somebody comes either anonymous on the site or through the Creative Cloud with their ID. This is all stitched then into Audience Manager, and we basically pull these offline data sets like Google, what she has, I mean, these ad clicks from before, etc. And we would segment that in our product. In this example, obviously, these are all Adobe products. There might be other products out there, but of course, we try to use our own stuff for what we're doing here. And then once these segments are built in Audience Manager, Target would actually tell the experience manager which experience to serve. So it would be a targeted experience. The experience manager would then serve the experience to that user in the internet, or then through Adobe Media Optimizer. That's when the content gets pushed into social channels. So basically we can interact with the social channels as well. One other thing we're doing is the same thing as we do on the website, we're doing with email campaigns. So for example, we have data sets of around 70 million customers in our data centers, and we're trying to send out smart emails, not just like batch and blast. advertising emails, but really personalized email campaigns that are relevant for this individual based on, again, what we know through their visits through adobe.com or what they have stored in their ID, etc. So one good example here is like in earlier days when we didn't have this information or these technologies, we basically, let's say somebody bought Photoshop, and then we started doing email campaigns based on assumptions. Let's say we assume somebody buys Photoshop and it takes them maybe 10 days to get started and to get used to the product. So we will probably send out a follow-up email saying, hey, you might have been exposed to Photoshop now, maybe you want to take this tutorial or you want to do this and this, and so on. And then we would advertise maybe a month later, maybe you download this product as well, maybe that helps you in what you're doing. So basically it was a time-triggered email campaign based on assumptions, and that might be obviously completely off because everybody has a different pace, everybody's doing something completely different with these products. What we're doing now is we base every action or every email that we trigger on so-called high-value actions. So somebody downloads the app, then we would follow up. We would see when this person uses actually the app because it's all connected to the cloud, right? We know how much this person is doing. So as soon as this person gets started, we probably send out an email saying, okay, this is the first getting started tutorial. And if this person only starts after a month, it doesn't make much sense to send that out after 5 days. So we really base every action, every interaction we do with the customer, we do it based on really actions this customer is taking. And then at one step, we'd probably see this person is only working on one node. He or she is only working on a desktop, and maybe is not aware that you can use Photoshop or Lightroom also on your mobile devices, on your iPad. So we'll promote, why don't you download the same thing, which then can interact, so you can actually take your work on the way, and you can continue working on the bus or on the train, wherever you are. And like that, we try to, first of all, generate more value for the customer, make it more interesting for the customer to use the products, but obviously also to get our products better exposed to the potential customer base. And last but not least, optimization. That's a continuous process that we are doing on the website. And this is again an older example of an old look and feel of the website. Now it has nothing to do with personalization. That's just a generic site. Might be targeted to someone, might be personalized, or might be not. So basically what our marketing teams can do is making 2 designs of the same page. So basically they have the simple ones without any additional content on it, and they have this one where they have much more like help content, etc., etc. And they can expose both versions to the public out there, and our tools, Test and Target in that case, would at the beginning, basically marketing can tell, I want to give 50% of the customer base, I want to show this experience, and 50% this experience. Obviously you can do 60-40, whatever you want to. And the tools in the background, they measure actually automatically the success of that design. So now when Test and Target finds out that this design, in that case actually this one won, by 16%, we can measure how much more conversion we are driving through this design. Now this is up, and this might go up slowly, and then Test and Target automatically starts diverting more traffic to this version to make the site more successful. In the end, when the tools are sure that this is the more successful version, all the traffic, so 100% will go onto this design, and this design will completely drop and disappear automatically. So it doesn't need any human interaction. Marketing can just let that run and obviously read the reports, what's going on, see the conversion going up, and just collect the money. And one last example also here, that's also tests. So basically also a very old design. That's actually when we did the new shopping cart experience. That was the old experience was tested against the new one with like this more modern looking one. And this is just an example. This alone, this redesign, which actually does exactly the same as just a redesign page, drove the conversion by 23% up. So basically, with all these like little steps and based on a lot of data and tools, you can really increase the success of your web presence. one last thing in terms of like testing, we obviously do that not just on a global basis. So it would be wrong to assume that a recipe that works in the United States is also successful in Japan. Local markets have very different interests and very different perceptions of a web presence. So we have international teams working on that, so they get their own possibilities to drive different tests, let's say in Japan compared to the US or to Switzerland or to anywhere else, and make sure that we're also successful in local markets and don't make the mistakes to just assume what works for the US or what works for Switzerland works for other markets as well. So just to recap, these were our 3 steps. I'm not saying these are the only 3 steps for every business, but as the numbers show, they made us pretty successful. Actually, our revenue and conversion has tenfold on the website, which is a huge success for us. So basically, optimization, single source of truth, architecture, web experience management, and basically giving the experience into the hand of the business because they know what they're doing. IT doesn't know what the experience should look like, right? And if IT controls a website, that's usually not the best idea. So you really need to put the capabilities into the hands to the ones that actually know what they're doing. And last but not least, segmentation, personalization, and targeting, very important. It's not every customer or every visitor to your site wants to see the same. They have different interests, they have different expectations, etc., and you have to respect that. And obviously, same applies to all devices. We try to be always up to date with that the experience actually works on every device, and that the experience is a pleasant one for wherever this person comes from in terms of region, industry, or also device coming to Adobe.com. So our idea behind Adobe.com is really not to make a website or a simple website. It's really, the idea is to create, to make it an experience when you come, and this should be a joint experience from the emails you're getting, from the products you're using, and you should always get the same messaging and always get the same constant experience with Adobe. And that was all I had.
Thank you very, very much, Lukas. Thanks for sharing really a real experience, and as you have seen, it produces a lot of incredible results. So I don't know if anyone has a question for Lukas here.
Hi, my name is Patricia. I have a question because I'm an Adobe customer. I use it every day for Photoshop, InDesign, and so on. And I'm quite surprised by your presentation because my experience as a customer is not so good because I used to have someone from your team on the phone to make the deal to get the Adobe. I use it every day. I'm based in Geneva, and all I receive as newsletter is all in German. And that's why I'm very confused because you try to understand your customer, but sorry.
So you're saying the newsletter you're receiving is only in German? Yes,
everything is done in German. I speak German, but my native language is French. Yeah. And I'm surprised. I don't want to have a very nice layout. I just need to have it in my language. So I'm surprised that you spend so many time to have a very specific part and not having my language, which is really important if you want to understand something that is very difficult with a computer device and so on.
Fully agree. So a few things to that. So first of all, not everything might be perfect, and the global web production teams is basically based in major sites. So it's not run out of Switzerland, so there might be mistakes in terms of how they're handling the content, assuming this Switzerland is just German speaking. I have the same complaint to Apple. Whenever I go to apple.ch, I get everything in French. I get nothing in German, which is also a complete annoyance to me. So I fully get it, I understand it, and I take the feedback. That's not the goal, and I'll look into it.
Madame, juste ici, juste là.
I have another question about your mobile software.
My mobile
On
the software
iPad
itself.
Or,
Okay, I'm not a software expert, but yeah, ask a question.
When we have a complete use of your of Adobe, we need to use it on iPad, on computer, on everything. And you speak that we need to have a complete experience with Adobe. And what about that? Because
which product?
Illustrator, Photoshop. There's no real software.
Well, you have Photoshop for iPad, for iOS, etc.
Yes.
It's not as sophisticated yet, obviously, as a desktop version.
Really not sophisticated. There's only the name, Illustrator and Photoshop.
Right. I think it's more about the assets that are like stored in the Creative Cloud and that you can do basic interactions on your mobile. I'm not from the product development team, so I can't really speak for Photoshop.
But if we need to have a complete experience, and in this case, there's a lack of experience.
Right.
What about that?
Because that the products need to...
Everybody are working on iPad and then on the computer and everywhere. But for you, Photoshop and Illustrator is very important, no?
It is, yeah. It's not as mature yet on the mobile devices as it is on desktop, yes.
And why not?
Because it's not there yet. It's a much younger product. It's just not there yet from an engineering point of view. But I really can't talk for the product engineering teams here.
I don't believe you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Oh, there is another question. Maybe the last one.
Hi. My question is about the success of the website. So as you mentioned any figures, and it seems that the growth is big. But do you think it's more linked to the fact that your website is built in such a customized way, or rather to the strategy of the company that makes all the products now digital, and you cannot even now purchase software that you keep your...
Right.
You are obliged to have a license and to upgrade it or update it every year and so on. So maybe...
It's definitely both. So basically, if you take blank numbers, like from 2 years ago, before moving to subscriptions, it was around 1 billion. So through the pure, just these measurements, obviously we did more in these 2 years. So I can't say exactly how much is tied to what. The thing is, obviously, yes, the model of the business has changed, and it's much more online than it used to be with box products. The effect and the curve has already been there before, and with subscription, obviously, we reach another level with that. That's absolutely correct. But the numbers, that I showed with like the little examples which increased by 23%, etc., that's all pre-subscription model. So definitely the methodology works.
Cannot really measure the impact of the customization of the...
Not as an isolated event, yes. There's many things tied to it. Traffic numbers that go up and down, everything is tied together. Basically what we're saying is the trend and the conversion can be strongly impacted by the experience. If it's exactly this number and what's tied to what, that's obviously not that scientific now.
Okay, thank you very much, Lukas. There is another question.
Sorry, I just have one question. I'm looking at your business model. The business model of Adobe used to be that you have a 1 month trial, and it's been reduced to 7 days, like for InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop. My question about it, if you will look at your presentation, you said that you will look at or study the internet users' navigation profile, where it goes. How can you reduce the lap of time is going to use your product, while if you use it for a month, you've got the time to look where it's going?
Your question is why reducing trial period?
Yeah, why you reduce from 30 days to 7 days and make it as a business model to pay now. So why? I
don't know the reasons, the business rationale behind the reduction of the trial period.
Because it's linked to your presentation. If you want to study somebody, the more you have time, the better it is.
Of course, yeah. You measure with the time that you have. If the business decides to change product usage capabilities, like for example, reducing trial periods, then we need to work with that, then we need to work with less data potentially. The methodology stays the same, yeah. I don't know the rationale behind why in that case they reduced the trial period to 7 days, I have no clue.
Okay, so this time for the third time, thank you very much, Lukas.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks.